Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a little painting here of a kind of a mix of things. It's maybe like a scarecrow or a snowman or a well, kind of like a witchy character. So I'm going to start with the darkest darks, and I'm actually going to move the eyes. The positioning isn't quite right. So I just did this little sketch. Just had this idea come to me, and yeah, so we're just gonna try it out here. It's just a little quick idea, and we'll see what we get when we add in the colors. I find it's kind of interesting to do my conceptual work with paint rather than just drawing, so that as I'm exploring the idea, I'm also exploring it with color rather than just lines in graphite or charcoal or ink or anything. And we can do this small, and we can just kind of focus on color and do like color study of an idea, which is smart to keep it small and to do that. But it's also, I'm finding it fun and interesting, and it's more than I would get if I were to have it small. I might not think of things the same way. So I kind of want this hat to be purplish, but we're going to make the underside dark. And we've got some blues. Maybe we need a little more blue in this mixture. There, that's a deeper, darker purple. So we can have these layers here. We got a deeper shadow, and then the one above it. And the idea is a big hat. And then uh in the in the body here, it's like drapery. So there's like pieces of drapery that are folded. The brush I'm using is a round 3, and I seems to be one of my go-tos with gouache for detail anyway. So at the bottom here, it's kind of like this drapery goes down, and then it enters a bunch of becomes bubbles, or like bubbles are surrounding it. And I don't know why, but that's what came to me. So I just had this idea just pop into my head. I was just sitting here, eyes closed, sort of meditating, and that's what happened. Here we are. And my aim is that it's enjoyable for you to watch, and that you're inspired to create something of your own. And I love fantasy art, so that's I do other realistic things as well, and it's important to do that because you then understand what looks believable. But what I love about doing that is then I can relax about it, and I'm using it in this, but I'm having fun, and I'm just thinking also just what looks cool, what feels like this is just a sketch, what's easy, um, in terms of how does it feel for me to make. So this feels easy and fun, and it's and then I'll go back and I'll do, a longer gouache study, of something that, you know, is from a photo or another artist I like, or other mediums, not just gouache. So I've got an old gouache palette here, and it's got a whole lot of different colors mixed in, and not a whole lot of room really. But I am going with it right now because it actually, the one problem with it is you kind of maybe you're going to mix some mud, um, get some pieces that you'd rather get a pure color, but instead you're getting mixes of other colors that you didn't plan to have in there. But then that's also the beauty of it is that I have all these options on the palette that I can really look at. And so I his want his main body area and the hat really to be purplish. I can try and get some of that, get a purple in here. I need some white paint so I can brighten up this. I'm on the last of my tube here. All right, so purplish. Oh, it's pretty nice purple there that I got. I'm gonna kind of put some under the hat here, and we're gonna get some into the drapery here, going upwards. And this is maybe where I want to switch brushes because I feel like I can cover more area quicker. And I'm thinking I want to have some kind of glow on maybe either side or both sides, depending like what's, you know, the lighting here. I'm thinking like an orangish glow would be nice to have. Just throwing in some hat color here, going around. And it's getting a little tight or a little trickier to do the skinny part here. If you have any questions about gouache, I'd be happy to see if I can answer them for you. Write them in the chat. And if you're interested in my fantasy art or in fantasy art in general, I have a free community called FAE, which is an acronym for Fantasy Art Experience. And in that group, right now we're exploring this month the theme of haunting. And so we're talking about all kinds of fantasy art that are haunting. I just recently posted a collection of Robert Watts pieces that I think are amazing. And so we're just geeking out over different fantasy pieces, and I share things about what I'm working on in there too. And it's a fun place. So if you want to join, it's in the description of the video, and it's free. So now, kind of got the bulk, the body here, and we got the inside of the body here, and I'm wondering if I want to make this quite a bit lighter. And maybe we have a bit of gray-ish, more grayish tone in there. Okay, well, I feel like in the hat, I'm going to add some gray. We'll kind of clean up this edge after. And maybe down here as well. We'll add a bit of that glow as I talked about. And some more darks. And kind of dry brush over some things and get some texture. Works nicely. And I think I need a little bit of blue in there. I feel like I want a little bit of blue at the top here. Throw some blue in the hat. And maybe sort of throughout the drapery here too. Kind of a nice glowing, a nice color to add in there, I think. And why not? We're going to use some of that. This is a blue I like here. We're gonna start to bring it into the bubbles a bit. And I'm just kind of, I have my brush pretty wet. Bring it into the bubbles down here. It's almost like waves crashing into a rock or something like that, even though the character would be the rock. And I don't want to be too precious with this. Like I'm being a little less precious, I think, because I am aware of the time and I want to kind of get through this in the video and not make it too long. But even if I was not doing that, I don't want to be too precious. I'm just kind of doing a little sketch. I want to be conscientious. I want to think about my decisions, but I also want to let things happen. I might switch to the other brush now. Once again, I mean, I've got lots of other brushes too, but that's I feel like that's enough, or that's I already used this one, so it's got paint on it, and I'm gonna bring it in. And I got a darker blue here, but it's very saturated. I'm gonna go in and just sort of hit some pieces. Blue. For years I have struggled to do this kind of thing of simply take an idea, one of my fantasy art ideas, and add color. So this is a big deal. And it might not make sense to non-artists or, you know, it you might not understand why it's a big deal, but sometimes there's just something where, well, usually maybe it's because it means something to you and it's more important somehow. And so you say no to it because it's like somehow a theme that's in your life for a reason, that you like saying yes is a growth, um, a growing task, like a spiritual task to say yes. And so it takes some time and processing and detours and all kinds of paths before you just go, I'm just going to do that thing that I keep avoiding, that is dear to my soul. And, you know, you prioritize other things. don't think it's the thing you really should be doing for whatever reason, but it actually is. And for me, that's fantasy art. And it's these ideas, bringing them to life. I like this dark blue, and I think I want to bring in maybe just bring up a little kind of going with the shadows, blend it out a bit with my finger. Add some color in there, maybe up here too. If the value is the same, I can put it anywhere. I can change the color of any value as long as the value is the same. And it's going to make sense in terms of three-dimensionality and perspective and all that. So, and this is pretty rough, so it's, it's not like I'm not, I still have to be aware of it, but um, if you were drawing like I don't know, if you were painting other things like a portrait or something, you would and you had spent a lot of time on the realism part, it might matter more to be to be accurate with your values and color, but it still matters here. So I've got a dark color, and I want to make this upper part actually darker, so it's going to be more of a shadowy face area. So I'm going to make this larger. And then we're going to give him an orange nose. An orange nose. Red, yellow. Pretty bright looking orange nose here. Like a snowman. So for some reason he's got a nose that's a carrot. Like that. And then I'll just dull it a bit with some brownish color and get a shadow underneath. Like that. And we kind of can do these little lines. Do these little lines. And we can bring some of that brown into the hat, maybe not a lot. I'm going to take some of this darker, and there's a little gap here, and I want to just fill that in between. It's a little white space between the hat and the rim and the top of the hat there. Yeah, that's a nice, well, I've got the orange, but I want a nice kind of glowing effect. I'm going to take some of that orange and yellow, or yellow it up a bit, and do it on the back here. Bring this up kind of all the way. Make sort of a glowing light on that side. And up here as well. That's pretty strong, but I did want it pretty strong. So and then I can put a little bit up here as well. Sort of just bringing some of it into the folds here. Now his eyes need to be, I mean, they could be that same color, but I think I want them to be more yellow. I'm gonna dab in here with the yellow. Yellow. And then I'm gonna bring a little red in here too. So we got the orange, but then we're gonna kind of have a little bit of purplish color that's in front of it in areas. This. I like those colors. They're quite nice to me. And in top here, I do want to make this a bit darker, so I'm going to kind of mash in some color. And then we're gonna bring in some of that into the cloak here again. And I need some dark, so I'm gonna mm, I'm gonna bring in some darker purplish value so I can get more of these folds in here. These folds in here. Okay, so now I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna go quite dark with the blue here, and I'm just gonna pop in some really dark values, adding some real shadow sort of depth here in the bubbles. filling in some white space, but I'm also going to leave little white areas that are like the highlights on it. And I could actually put white paint there, but since the background's white and this is just a little design sketch, I'm not gonna worry about that. They're just gonna be white. I might still add some more values there, but I think we're getting to like see the idea without going far with it, too far. And outline a couple of these. I'm gonna wet it quite a bit, my brush here, and so we can really wash out on the sides and such. So we're just creating kind of a watery watercolor edge. Fill this one in. Just gonna make a little shape. And then I can I'm gonna sort of just do that with some of these bubbles is put a little bit of washy blue in there. Washy blue, technical term. And there we go. Doing a little on some of these white highlights, curving it a little bit. So I'm getting dimension into them. And it might be smart of me to add some yellow to some of those bubbles because why is he glowing so much? And then none of these bubbles have any yellow light on them. That doesn't make sense. So we're gonna get a little bit of sparkle yellow on some of these bubbles here. There, bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. And maybe also, if we water down that yellow a fair bit, can sort of create like a glowing effect that's coming out. That's coming over around him and use my finger and just sort of tap. Like fire or something. The fire and the water doesn't really, does it make sense? Maybe. And maybe we take a little bit of that same sort of, I just thought we could put it around the eyes and make the eyes a little bit softer edged. And then got a little bit up here. Then I want to I just wet my brush. I'm just going to go over some of this fabric and sort of soften some of these folds here. And I think it'd be cool. Don't have a lot of fresh white handy, but I got this tube here and I'm gonna get the last of it out. The last of the white out. And we're gonna take that with our bigger brush, the one we used already, and I've got quite a bit of paint here. I'm gonna do like splashing foam on the figure. So it's like we have the fire, but then we have this white foamy sort of stuff coming. And yeah, I made sound effects, so that's good to do. That means you're into it. Splashy waves with mostly white, but a little bit of blue. Went around on the bottom here too. And it really works against the dark. So if you get it in front of the darks, then it pops. And that's about it. I mean, um, I feel like I could bring a little bit of that blue off to the sides here, maybe, and sort of have that foam like going further. But this was the idea, and I could make a dark background above here, and that I think would really make it stand out. So why don't we just this? Let's try it. We're gonna make the background dark above. Now, one thing I want to keep in mind is the overall silhouette of the background, because I'm not going to color the whole page here. So how can I make the shape of this whole picture be attractive and interesting? Right, so we kind of have this longer part at the bottom, so maybe I don't want to go all the way to the edges of that. And then we're going to have to maybe use a smaller brush. Well, maybe not. Don't want to cover or get my nose all blue. And up top here. Now maybe I'll have to leave the top of the hat out of the blue, because that's cool. I'm gonna do a thinner brush here to get between. there. And same thing around here. Reach up above here. Now if I want to get rid of a little bit of this orange highlight on the back, I can carve it away using the blue. And we can go back to the previous brush and we're not gonna go all the way up the hat, we're just gonna kind of go to there or something. Maybe we leave a little bit of white space there, so it's kind of leads us up. So we want to do something interesting around it. And additionally, we're going to stop pretty soon. So, I keep going because it's fun, but let's see. We're going to stop in a minute here. I want to do one little last thing that I think will be nice, which is just take some pure white and I'm going to add snow. So I was thinking stars at first. I thought stars in the background, but he's kind of like a snowman. So I think snow is a good idea. So I put some snow here. We put a little bit over top of him. So bubbles and snow, just a little bit. And I think this is a bit more paint. This is looking cool here. I'm just going to bring a little bit more black, darker into the eyes or around the eyes here. Just feel like it needs to be a bit darker, more mysterious. There. And one more thing. because there's a little bit of yellow here. So I'm just going to extend this sky so it actually reaches a little bit farther and covers up that tiny bit of yellow that was placed. Let me kind of wash this. I hope you like this. Once again, Fantasy Art Experience is a free fantasy art community that I've created, and its link is in the description of this video. And this is a little fantasy art idea I came up with. Didn't really have a lot of planning for it, just had an idea of the sort of the design and the colors and just went for it. So you got to see the whole process. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video, as there will be more fantasy art sketches coming your way. Thanks. Take care.